Start the record. And welcome everybody. It is beginning of June in 2022, and I am here today from Hawaii, where I'm going to be spending the next 5 or 6 weeks, which is really cool. I've got 3 weeks with my boys here in Honolulu, and then I'm on to Maui for 3 weeks. So it's going to be a really great time to be over here. And we're joined today with our friend, community member, and teacher, leader, wonderful, extraordinary, integrated human being, Susie Beiler. Yeah, and Susie, it's great to have you here. You guys, Susie's been doing some amazing work recently. She's all about soul power. So Susie, I mean, let's jump right in. So first off, what is the soul? We got to start at the beginning, right? You got a whole symposium on soul power. Let's break it down from the start.
Cool. Well, first I want to say, you like shifted the conversation. You're like, we're going to talk about something different. And in my mind, this isn't something different. This is just, you're talking about soul power is what you're talking about, like fucking shit up. Apparently that's in my human design too. But
yeah,
what you're talking about with disrupting those systems that don't serve the highest good, that's using your soul power. So we're really talking about the same thing here. I just wanted to clear that up.
That's great. And if somebody wasn't, we had a little pre-conversation before the recording starting. We were just talking about ways of moving the food distribution away from the corporations. Susie commented, stop feeding the corporations. Let's feed ourselves instead of the corporations. Let's go direct from farmers to communities, ranchers to communities. That's what we were talking about. Okay.
Cool. Yeah. So what is the soul? Well, that's a big question. I'll share my perspective. And then I also brought through Prime Creator Energy for the Soul Power Symposium to, set the foundation to help us understand what is soul. From my understanding and perspective, the soul is the infinite part of us. The soul is the part of us that is whole and complete. Yes, there can be wounding, but there is a core part of us. There's a core within the soul itself that can't be touched, can't ever be hurt. That's from Prime Creator. So I find that idea interesting, that we can have some wounding that affects our soul, but there is always that core of us that is solid in the sense that, not solid as in physical, but solid in the sense that it is eternal, it is infinite. And there is sacred geometry associated with the soul. Prime Creator talked about a fractal field that's around the soul, and that's part of the infinite nature of the soul. So when we grow and evolve ourselves, and when we interface with other souls and get energy signatures and soul codes from other souls, it contributes to our fractal field. And so there's like this the way I saw when Prime Creator was describing it is there's this dance, if you ever, of sacred geometry emerging and expanding. If you've ever seen a YouTube video of fractals and how the fractals move, does anyone know what I'm talking about? Brandon, see you nodding your head. The fractals, okay. I don't know. Should I share my screen and do this? Because this is okay. This is pretty cool.
While you're looking it up, I'll just talk for a little second about when I was learning about sacred geometry. First, somebody gave me this educational piece about it one night, and I went to sleep. And as I awakened the next morning, I saw numbers become shapes and shapes become matter. And I just saw it in this dreamlike state. And I was like, oh, that's how it works. The other thing that happened in that time period is I used to set this intention of knowing myself more as a flow than as a man in a body. I'm the energies flowing. So what if I am integrity working itself out? And in the current version of integrity working itself out, let's say it looks like this, it's like a triangle. And then in its next version, it morphs to the tree of life. It can continue. And when I would focus on sacred geometric shapes while thinking about myself as a flow, is I let that energy wash over me. And that tended to help me feel more infinite, more peaceful. So, and it's part of my understanding about what makes our structured water work. Like people structure water in lots of ways that don't resonate with me. The ones that I choose to bring forth in commerce have sacred geometry as a component to it. And I think we'll go deeper on that now. Susie looks like she's ready.
Yeah, that's so cool. So let me see if I can share my screen here. And this is just an example of, so when you look at that, it's just infinite. It keeps going and going. And this is the Mandelbrot fractal. But you can see that it just keeps going, and it's the same sacred geometry, the same organized structure of lines and shape, and it just keeps going, and it's infinite. It never stops. You can watch this video for 9 minutes.
So Susie, I'm reminded as you share this, that was great, about how this informed my perspective about the God particle, right?
Mm.
We have these big accelerators. They're like, I forget, 17 miles long or something, and they smash particles, and they keep trying to get at the next layer lower of physical science. And I remember during this time period where I was really studying this stuff, it's like, well, they're never going to get to the God particle, because God is not like, a little shape like this.
Not
It's
a particle.
It's what we were just seeing. It's the pattern, and it's the pattern of the shape, not a particle. That to me is God, right? That is an aspect of how I understand God, I guess is a way to say it.
Yeah, so along those lines, we are God, or we have the aspect of God, or however you want to say it or think about it. But my understanding of this fractal field that's part of our soul is that, again, when we interact with another soul or an energy, there are encodements placed into our fractal field, and then our fractal field can keep growing and maybe change some shape. Maybe the way it moves changes, the way it evolves changes, the sacred geometry of it might change or become more intricate or more complex. So the idea of soul, it's just this infinite idea. It just keeps going and going and going, and it's a lot for the human mind to comprehend.
It is. It's pretty cool though. I just had a revisiting with a family member this past week who I hadn't spoken to in like 10, 11 months. And I've grown a lot. Like my fractal has deepened and changed a lot in that time period. And one of the things that I noticed was like a newfound respect for only speaking about what he could hear. It was like I started to move into concepts that my experiences, he would move into confusion or not understanding or just kind of have to zone out or whatever. And I stopped myself like one sentence in. I'm like, no, like we gotta come and hang in this space to build love here. And so I do think that those of us who are choosing conscious evolution are experiencing this ever deepening thing. Like everything I've ever focused on in life, if I keep focusing on it, it always goes deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never gotten to the bottom of anything. Like there isn't a bottom. It's just like what you just showed.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
This leads into the idea of the soul journey, which
great.
Again, my information comes from the prime creator energy and my own kind of interpretation of that. So take what resonates, throw the rest out. I won't be offended or take anything personally. One of the things that I understand about the soul is that it goes on a journey. And so whether you want to call that reincarnation or pools of consciousness, or, it moves in and out of different realities, my understanding is that the journey of the soul is that it does move through different dimensions, different realms, if you will. So sometimes the soul is without form. Sometimes the soul takes on a body. Sometimes the soul is like sort of in between form, like maybe if we're in a higher dimensional frequency, we're not in this, human physical thing, but the soul might be in like a quasi physical form. And again, hard stuff for our human minds to comprehend, but the idea is that when the soul goes on the journey, it picks up energy signatures and codes. It gains wisdom from all these different places that it travels, from all its embodiments, from all its non-embodiments. There is so much to be gleaned within this multiverse. I mean, there's, again, infinity. There's just so much wisdom that we can pick up. So if you think of a child prodigy, a kid who knows how to play piano like a genius and they're only 4 years old, well, where does that come from? Where does that knowledge come from? My guess is that perhaps it comes from another soul embodiment, another incarnation, if you will, where that wisdom is embedded in the soul. And then when the soul takes on a new body, the cellular memory of that body can pick up the energy signatures and codes that are stored in the soul. Mm-hmm. Again, my interpretation of how this could possibly work. But when you think of, what's happening right now on the planet, and people are awakening and people are remembering some of their spiritual gifts and talents, some of these things that are just inherent within us, but maybe we haven't expressed or explored. Where does that come from? That's something that happens at the soul level. That's something that's formed within the soul, and then we can express it through our human aspect. And so it's just this really exciting idea that when we gain soul power, we're integrating our multidimensional faceted self. We're integrating all these aspects of ourself that maybe in this human incarnation we're not even consciously aware of, but they're there. But with intention and conscious cultivation, we can awaken some of those spiritual gifts and talents, some of those things that are part of our soul, but we may have not yet uncovered in this lifetime. And the infinite nature of who we are, it's accessible to us. And we just need to set our intention to work with that. So it was probably 8 years ago now, when I first came to Sedona, I set my intention. I started to have this understanding about the soul. And so I set my intention to integrate my soul aspects. And what that has meant for me is that I've integrated my shadow, I've integrated my light. And I'm not saying this in past tense as if I'm complete. I'm just saying this is work I've done on myself, right? Because it always continues. But this is the potential. This is the power that we have as humans, that the non-human aspects of ourselves, we can activate those parts of us. We can tap in and tune into those parts of us. We can integrate those parts of us into this realm and reality and cultivate them and use them as our superpowers. So it's really exciting.
It is really exciting. So, all right, we got a good landscape here to deepen a soul conversation. So, one of the things that happens when we're on a soul journey is we meet challenges. So talk to us a little bit about the benefits of a challenge coming up on the soul journey.
Awesome. I love this question because I call them mastery opportunities.
Ooh, I like that.
Opportunities for us to master ourselves.
Patricia, you're awesome. You see Patricia showing up, getting her hair done. I'm a little jealous, I gotta say. That's awesome, Patricia. Thank you for being here. And
thanks for making it happen.
Right? Thanks for turning your video on and being exactly as you are. That is so hot.
I love it.
Love that.
Very titillating, Patricia. We love it. We invite everyone else to turn their videos on. That's really my favorite. I love to see your faces and look in your eyes and connect. Shira's nice and close to the camera. I get to look in her eyes. I really love that.
That's beautiful. I might have to show up sometime getting a haircut, Patricia. You've inspired me. Very fun.
I didn't want to miss that. That's my hairstylist up there.
That's great. Well, she can come to the community call this week and next week too.
Welcome, hairstylist.
Yes, welcome. Beautiful. All right,
Oh.
Susie, I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, that's okay.
Good.
So at the soul level, these challenges or mastery opportunities are places where
Do you want to hear this?
that.
Sure.
Do you want to mute that?
I'm gonna see if I.
Yeah, I muted you, Patricia. You're good.
These challenges or mastery opportunities are places where our soul, like the outer layer of the soul, not that intact core that I'm talking about, but the outer layer that can sustain an injury. Those mastery opportunities are places where we can go in and resolve and integrate anything that we haven't in other lifetimes or other realms and realities. So when a challenge comes up, that's just a place where you haven't gained your mastery yet. That's all.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. When I was doing a ton of emotion code, as I got more adept at it, I noticed that I kind of did, like, it was the hotter emotions first. So it was the things that I was angry about that got worked through first. And then I moved further and further back into my timeline. And then I would get iterations of what I was processing in my 30s and 40s. I'd get the 10-year-old and the 5-year-old version. And then things started to go into in utero. And then there were like things that was like abandonment. It went one day, it just went all the way back, and then it started going back through the mother to the mother's mother, and it went all the way back to God. It was like humans separating from God. And I was like, oh, I remember like being stunned when that happened. And then this really cool thing happened where 7 generations of Durkin men through my father kept showing up. And I always get like teary-eyed when they show up. It's like they just kept showing up, and their message was, we couldn't do this when we were embodied, and you're doing it now, and we're all here. Can you speak at all to that connectedness of what I was experiencing with those 7 generations showing up?
Yeah. So from the soul perspective, sometimes the soul does have a blood lineage associated with it, and sometimes not. And so in your case, what you're describing is like a soul family, a collective soul energy that needed healing, and you said, yeah, I'll do it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I keep holding this question, but it's just not going to hold any longer. So there's my soul, right, as an individual, and then there's this soul family, and then you and I are part of some kind of soul family with each other.
Sure.
Right? That's different than the 7 generations of Durkin men. Like, you're not hanging with them, but I sure am. And then there's like all of us. So I've heard words like oversoul, and I'm thinking about this time that we're living in. It seems that more and more I feel so at home with people that I meet, just like right away. Like, oh, we're part of the same like big family, right? So any comment on like these levels of soul, like how big, how differentiated? Is it all one soul when it's all done? Like I'm soul family with the bloodless, demonic, dark force people who are raping and pillaging this earth. Like, what do you think about the connectedness through soul of all of us?
Okay, so there were kind of a bunch of questions in that one question.
Yeah, I'm confused.
So I'll do my best. So what I can speak to is that understanding of the soul journey, and when I don't know what the point is, but there is a point in my understanding where the soul is complete with the journey and then goes back into source. And then all of the energy signatures and wisdom of that soul go into the collective soul field, and it's accessible to all of us. And this is something Prime Creator talked about. So I just need to highlight this because this is really cool. I brought through a 75-minute transmission specifically for the Soul Power Symposium. The entire transmission is about the soul. And so this is one of the things that came through that transmission that I find very powerful and meaningful is that eventually each one of us, our soul will complete its journey and go back into source. And everything I've learned, I'm just going to speak about myself because it's easier. Everything I've learned throughout my entire soul journey, the eons of time, the millions, billions of years, whatever the time is, all of my soul wisdom gets put into the source field, into the collective energy field. And then each of you can pick up that wisdom, because through my soul journey, I've created templates and energy signatures and codes for you to use. And you're doing the same for me. And so that can happen. I believe that is happening now, not just when my soul journey comes to an end. And of course, this is all in our linear understanding of time, which doesn't exist, but it's a whole other thing. So right now, whatever I've integrated, whatever I've healed, I've created templates for that. And you guys can pick that up and use that. And whatever you've healed and whatever templates you've created, I can pick that up and use that. So it's just really exciting that this is how we help each other, and this is part of the collective energy. So Patrick, when you heal what happened in your blood lineage, not only are you offering that to your ancestors and your bloodline before and after, but you are also offering that to us. Yeah. Because there's a specific way that you went through your healing journey and process that may be different than how I go through my healing journey and process. And I can take the codes that you've offered and adopt them for my journey, and vice versa. So there's so much potential here. And Patrick, I don't know, are there other parts of that question that I didn't answer that you want to go back to?
No, I think you did fine. And just, go with a different part. Like, I mean, I remember the day we met at Kenji Kumara's house at a dinner, and there was like this sparkly hug between us. It was like just a recognition of friendship. And it was 2016, so 6 years ago. Although it feels like I've known you for a lot longer than that.
A lot longer than that, yeah.
Yeah, but I was just looking at photos the other day, and that trip was 2016. Maybe it was an earlier one. Anyway, the conversations that we could have then versus the ones we can have now, are a lot deeper.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
And we have a lot more understanding, and I'd say more alignment on our opportunity to fuck shit up, like to be agents of change in the world. And to Laura, you missed a whole fuck shit up conversation earlier. You got in a little late, but you definitely sparked it. Marcia was talking about her human design reading too. So yeah, that's already been a theme of this call. It's like easier to, you and I, Susie, I think, to see one another and to see what we're up to. And I think that's part of this evolution of the trading of the blueprints, because we've had a relatedness, like we're at fingertips with each other. We don't live next to each other. We see each other every couple of years, but yet we keep that fingertip type relationship, and neither one of us is in the same place a month later or 3 months later. Like, it's always new. And it's like, I think of each of us like gathering more and bringing more into coherence and bringing more into flowing sacred geometry. But because you're doing yours and I'm doing mine, and lots of other people, the shape that we all get to make is different than the shape that we could make before.
It would be really cool if someone had this kind of psychic sight to be able to create a sacred geometry mandala for this group, for your community, Patrick, just to see what it looks like, with all of our unique sacred geometries and fractal fields, and that would be kind of fun.
It would be. And I think it's part of the magic of like Laura's arrival and all the human design work that's going on, and why people have like just like jumped in and embraced it, is that people are, through those conversations with her, learning one way they didn't have before at the level of depth that they had before, right? So like Patricia had a human design reading, but she hadn't had one with Laura, and getting one with Laura like took it to a different level. And so, and then Laura as a, you know, a centerpiece that a lot of the community is rotating around, right? Because not only does she get these deep looks into people, but she has my ear too. And so there's a lot of conversation going on there. I think what's coming next is more varied practitioners are going to layer in, and each one is going to bring an element of how do we know ourselves more deeply. So I asked you before the call, and I want you to spend a minute on it again right now. You guys, in a minute, we're going to show you what's going on with Susie's Soul Power Symposium, and that's really cool. But I want to ask her specifically to tell you about these sessions people have where they hire her, so that we can hear together the complementary nature of like what Susie's bringing compared to what Laura is bringing. And it's not the same, it's different levels of getting ourselves different understanding. So Susie, when people hire you for an hour, like what kind of stuff do they do with you?
Yeah, so the most popular session is a channeling session, and what that's really about is bringing in the prime creator energy. And prime creator describes itself as the highest vibrations of love and light. So that's all nice and that's cool, but what does that mean? So when you have a session with prime creator and myself, you get not just my wisdom from the journey that I've been on, but you get the overall higher perspective of this wisdom that sees all and knows all. And the only limitation within that is my own limitation, my own filters, or my own ability to interpret the energy that I'm feeling. So I'm a clairsentient, I'm a deep feeler, I'm an empath. When I channel, I'm feeling the energy and I find words to put with the energy that I'm feeling. So it's not an exact science. You know, I'm not an infallible human being, but I find more often than not that there is a resonance with what is coming through to help you heal. So when you hire me, it's for the purposes of your healing, your empowerment, your growth and evolution. I was saying to Patrick, it's not for psychic purposes. I'm not looking to predict your future. I'm not looking to spy on other people in your life. This is for you. The session's about you, your growth, your journey, what you want to achieve, what you want to heal, what you want to release. You know, there's so much going on the planet right now. There's some of us are feeling this instability. And the more you know about yourself, the more stable and secure you can feel in this experience. And so it's really a transcendent experience. And for those who want to and are interested, you can go to susiebeiler.com/testimonials, and you can see what other people have experienced in their sessions. So I just put that link in the chat for you all in case anyone's interested in checking that out. Really, you know, I don't even like to talk about my work that much. I would rather have my work speak for itself through the people that I've served. And so that's why I'm putting that link in there.
That's great. And I love talking about my friend's work, so I get to do that. And you have to answer my questions when you come as my guest. So
okay, fine.
Thank you for answering. That's perfect.
You're welcome. Well, so, I don't like to, I'll just say this. I want people to experience my energy, because what you will get in the session is my presence and my focused attention. And that means a lot, because I've cultivated a lot of presence in my life. And so if you can imagine just for a full hour having the spotlight on you and having, you know, just being loved up, not being judged, just allowing yourself to feel safe in a very sacred container where you can bring anything into that container. I don't care. I don't care if you've raped someone or killed someone or what you've done. If you want to heal, I'm here to facilitate that healing for you. So this is a place of safety and non-judgment when you come into that sacred container with me.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. So jumping back to the mastery opportunities, what tools do you use to recalibrate after a mastery opportunity has rocked your world?
Nature, 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 hugs,
Right.
hugs.
Yeah.
Just sleep, healthy food, structured water.
Mm. Yeah, you guys, I called Susie like an hour ago just to connect a little before the call, and I caught her right as she prepared her food, and we tried talking. We talked for like 3 minutes, and it was just clunking, and she finally said, I really need to eat this food that I've prepared to get my body ready to be on the call. I was like, oh, you want to call me later? And there was a way that you honored yourself in that I really liked. Like most of my friends would be psyched that I called, thankful that they got me, because usually my phone rings like a minute after I get off the phone with somebody, and then I never get back to what I was trying to get to. And you're like, no, I got to nurture my body. Like, that's awesome. So I love that you do that. And I want to like underscore that, because it's like, I'm asking you what you do when a mastery opportunity comes up, but it's really nurturing yourself all the time, like throughout and ongoingly, right?
Yeah. I thank you for highlighting that, because that really is where it's at. It's setting the foundation of self-care and self-love all the time. I'm doing that all the time, as much as possible. So it's not just after I've gone through a mastery opportunity. This is ongoing. This is my lifestyle. I've built self-care and self-love into my lifestyle. Tomorrow I have in my calendar to go to the creek. Like, it's written in my calendar, This is this is an important part of me being able to show up, of me being able to cultivate my presence, me being able to bring through the downloads to serve humanity. If I don't take that time and space for myself, I'll burn out very quickly. That's part of my human design. So it is important that I take that time to nurture and nourish. And I'll mention salt baths also. Those are a nice way to.
Oh yeah, that's a great one. Guys, we're getting to the point where pretty soon you're going to get the chance to ask Susie questions. So if you have them, it's a good time to be thinking about what they are. And I'm interested in this idea of us evolving together. And I'm going to ask you the question I'm going to ask you, but then I'm going to tell a little story, and then you can answer. So I'm interested in you describing the evolutionary forces that you're witnessing in us as a whole, right? And
this group or the collective as a whole?
The collective.
Okay.
And I want to give my answer that kind of bridges between where you just were, like nurturing yourself with food. Last week before traveling to Hawaii, I went on two different 2-day water fasts. I did 2 days, and then I broke down and ate for a day. Or maybe I don't want to phrase that as a breakdown. I chose to have a day of food. And then I did 2 more days. And the reason I did 2 more days is I'm getting shown pretty clearly and pretty quickly that eating anything other than fruit and raw nuts, no salt, brings pain to my body. So it's become like, my body has always been really sensitive, and it's just become this super reinforcement mechanism. And so here I am in Hawaii, staying at my son's house. He's 22, his younger brother's 20. They're both here. We have a little history over the last few years of eating greasy food and drinking alcohol and, watching stupid, violent things on TV and, exercising rough. And it's like, it just doesn't work. And so it's too painful. And it's like, I'm 52 and I got to choose. Like, I can go out and play pickleball with them and play competitively and like have a lot of fun, or I can drink. But if I put the alcohol in my body, then the soreness that I get in my joints is going to make the pickleball too painful. So it's one or the other. And I'm choosing I'm choosing the fruit. So, yesterday was a big win for me today to be around family and let them eat what they need to eat to feel good about themselves and eat what I need to eat to feel good about myself. So I think there's a connectedness between the nurturance of yourself that you showed me in the last hour and what I'm saying. Like, I think that's up for everybody. Like, it's more accessible than ever before to form good habits, to do good things. I kind of see the way it's going between the foraging I do with Laura and the water fast. Like, I think Laura and I are probably going to go on a 30-day water fast at some point, not too long from now. And it feels like right gradient. Like, I was in Maui 2 years ago. I stayed with Kiko, who's a member of our community, and I'm about to go back and stay with her again. And I remember my awe of her 2 years ago because she dropped into a multi-day water fast while I was there, and she just started and went for like 3 days and then stopped. I was like so amazed that she could do that. And now I did two-day water fasts this week, and I'm a little stunned that in 2 years' time I have that power. So now a 30-day, just, it seems pretty accessible. So yeah, let's talk about evolutionary forces and like what's causing all that, from your perspective, to the point that you can comment on it.
Yeah, well, I love this topic. All right, so
yeah.
All right, so we have the whole solar system galaxy going through the photon belt, which is a ton of illumination, a ton of light support for us to awaken and be illuminated, for us to see our shadow and heal and integrate. We have, and this is from the channeling that I do, we have a ton of light energy coming in from the great central sun, the galactic core, the heart of the universe, the multiversal core, from source. There's just light like coming in from all angles, light streams coming from everywhere, just bombarding the planet. And I was watching someone recently who was talking about this in her own way, but she was saying, she watches NASA's reports on not energy, that's not the word she used, but there are different systems that measure the energy that's coming to the planet. You may have seen the what's it called, the Schumann resonance charts or graphs. I don't know if any of you are tuned into that. There are a few different systems of measurement, and it used to be that NASA and some of these other organizations would show us, or you could access them, to chart where the energy was. But there's so much energy now that they just stopped showing us that because they can't measure it anymore. So I don't know if that's true. I don't have I haven't done my due diligence to, really look into that, but it does resonate with me, because I know that for myself and other sensitive beings, I know that when we have a solar flare, when we have an X flare coming from the sun, a CME, a coronal mass ejection, when those kinds of things happen, we're affected. We feel it. Some people get dizzy. Some people get lightheaded. There are different physical symptoms that the body will feel with all this energy. So all of that to say, with all of this energy that's coming to us right now, there is a tremendous opportunity that we have to grow. And this goes back to our earlier conversation, this infinite potential that we have. The energies are supporting our growth and evolution. They're supporting our shadow being illuminated so that we can heal and, release the frequencies that no longer serve us. But not just that, they're supporting the integration of our light aspects. They're supporting the illumination of our spiritual gifts and talents at the soul level that I was referencing before. The energetic support that we have right now to create, to manifest, to move forward, to evolve, to expand. It's like nothing we've had on this planet before. And I would even go so far to say as this universe has not seen anything like this before. So this is really a profound time to be in a human body on this planet. My understanding is that planet Earth is the heart of the universe, if you will, in the sense that if you subscribe to the ascension, the idea of ascension, that Earth is the first planet to ascend. She's setting the templates for all of the other planets in our solar system, all of the other planets in our galaxy, all of the beings. So us being here on planet Earth, it's happening now. Us being on planet Earth here at this time in a human body is an exceptional opportunity. This doesn't happen. This is like once in a lifetime. This is once in a soul journey opportunity, right? Just to help understand the magnitude of what we're going through. So it's easy sometimes to get lost in the minutia of our life, those mastery opportunities that come up. And I'm guilty of it as anyone else is. But when we can maintain that larger perspective of what's really going on here, we're going through this massive evolution together with this planet, in this solar system, with this galaxy. This is huge. This is a massive opportunity that we have. So for those of us who are here to fuck shit up, like this is the time. This is the time that we do that, because we've gathered what we need now in order to dissolve those old paradigms and matrices and systems and assist the emerging of the new Earth. So Patrick, that's my overall perspective of what's happening.
Right on. Does anybody have anything to share, whether it's concrete and it has you know what Susie's saying is true, or something that's just a little bit intuitive for you, a sign that you're given? How do you guys see this opportunity? And is there anything that helps you know that this is true? Anybody want to jump in on that? While they're thinking about their answer, Susie, if you would post a link to the Soul Symposium, that would be great.
Yeah, I can do that, Patrick, but I'd love for people to utilize your unique link. Do you have that?
Oh, thanks. I don't know. Jen does that.
I don't know. You know what?
You could generate that?
If you give me a minute, I can find it.
Cool. Shira's gonna help us out and connect the conversation.
Right, cool.
So yes, Shira, jump on in.
What Susie has just said gives me some understanding about this feeling I have that it's important that I be here. It's important that I survive. Like people dropping like flies, and we all know about that. And I feel like this responsibility to survive, and it gives me a better idea of why.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Shira. I felt that one too. You know, there was a time in 2018 and 2019 where I fairly regularly received thoughts of suicide. Like I was just like, it was pretty painful to be alive for me in those 2 years. And as these years have been unfolding, I'm like so glad I made it through there, and so thankful that that I get the opportunity to play out the role that I was carved for. It's like the further I make it, the more all the pieces behind make sense. So like athletically, if you look at me compared to a lot of the athletes I've shared fields and tennis courts with over the years, most people I've competed with have been substantially larger, stronger, apparently having more skill or expertise. And yet I've won things in different sports at state and regional levels and been like really, really accomplished. And it's like, didn't really understand, like, why do I win so many things? And I think it had to do with the prep for a game that actually matters. That's the game we're playing now. Is, when I play tennis, I analyze not the strokes of the other person, but the strokes in the context of their psyche and their emotions and what it will take to push them around the court to have them encounter their weaknesses and buckle under, right? Like, I play at all those levels at the same time, which is why people get so frustrated playing sports against me, because they look at me and they're like, I'm going to demolish you. And I'm like, okay, bring it, And it's like, there's a force that I bring that I was learning. What it looked like is like a 21-year-old who was just a vicious competitor. But what it looks like as a 52-year-old is like I was honing my trade to figure out how to have ideas like I'm having now about withdrawing the food supply from feeding the corporations and distributing it out through the communities. Like, that's the game that I'm in now. I'm all in on that game. So the sensitivity to, oh, if I eat away from my light vibration, my body hurts. Like, what a great feedback mechanism. So now that whole dashboard is the dashboard of how does the light win? That's what I'm playing. Does anybody else want to, Susie, you want to hop in now? Or?
Yeah, I don't see any other questions, so I just want to speak to what you just said a little bit, and then then Sherry, I'd love to hear from you. So one of the things you said about like suicidal thoughts and things, it's really important that we understand that there are a lot of programs being pushed on us. There are a lot of like, if you've seen that movie Inception, where they're, placing thoughts into us, it's important that we recognize that that's happening. And so if you have weird experiences or thoughts that don't feel like yours, they're probably not. And if you have thought patterns that do feel like yours, examine them anyway, because they might not be yours. They may not be something that actually originated from your soul and your being. It might be something you just pulled out of the ethers and adopted as your own. But if they are running in you, it's because you do have a certain resonance and a magnetism to that. And so it's important to address that also.
I love that. One of my prayers has been to have a life that's bigger than television. Like, I just like pray, like, please make life more interesting than watching the NFL on Sunday. Like, please. And that's a long-standing prayer. And there's a lot of family history around it. And being with Laura, my life has become more interesting than television. It's really very sweet. And so in the last week, I've had the opportunity, spending less time with Laura, to turn the TV on a couple of times. And I had a really emotional week last week. And I was like, I just need to like go veg in front of the screen for an hour and see how that is. And what I found after 2 months of being away from the screen, when I returned to it, the plot lines of the dramas that I was watching were so clear to me about the crap that they were trying to impregnate my brain with. I was like, I can't watch.
Yeah.
I was like, this show that I've been watching, I'm in my 6th season. I'm like, I'm not finishing this season. Like, I'm done. My life got bigger than letting them indoctrinate me with this show. I was so psyched. I was like, I literally don't want to watch it anymore. Really, really beautiful. Sherry, see you with your hand up. Please unmute yourself.
Sure. Susie, how can we go about accessing some of these codes from people who are further along on the path than we are? Because I do not feel like I am I know things intellectually. Nothing you said really surprised me, but I don't feel it, and I'm not tapped in, and I would like to access some codes to help me get there.
Mm-hmm. Well, you may not be a deep feeler. Are you a deep feeler?
I don't really know what that means. I think I've worked during my life to not feel things because that was survival.
Okay, so either you are a deep feeler and you've kind of shut that down to survive, or you're just not a deep feeler. Because my first inclination was to say, well, if you were a deep feeler, you would know. But if you've shut that down for survival purposes, then maybe you're not accessing all of that right now. So if that's the case, if you've shut down some of your feeling senses, then it is important that you find ways to heal so that you can feel safe to open back up to receive the feelings. And if that's not the case, if you're just not a deep feeler, then you may already be receiving and integrating and just not sensing it. And that's okay too. I happen to feel everything that I'm integrating. That's not everyone's process. That's not the way everyone's wired. So what would be helpful for you is to find out how you're wired. Maybe either a session with me or a session with Human Design and Laura to find out how you're wired so that you can have an understanding of, am I actually gaining from people that are further along on the path than me? Or am I just not picking it up? So having some of that understanding would be helpful, but then also just ask for it. Say, I want to be able to receive from the things that I don't know. I want to receive from the people who know things that I don't know. I want to receive and integrate the things I've not yet integrated. Just set that intention and ask for it. And if that's really what you want, the universe will deliver it. And just be open to how that shows up also.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sherry, I
Thank you,
echo Susie's idea of just asking. Like, everything's available for the asking. And, I've relied on more people like Susie and Laura and, literally probably hundreds of other practitioners over the last couple of decades to figure out who I am. So getting help is what I do all the time. And, one of the things that emerged in my human design is I'm wired to be looking for what's wrong. Like, where's the conflict, so that I know what to fuck up. Like, I can't take things on and smash a system if I don't see what's wrong. And so, there was a little wave that passed through the wellness enterprise. Like, is Patrick capable of acknowledgement and appreciation? Like, could we have a little bit of positive strokes after we accomplish a project? And Laura's like, she's like, honey, if you do any of that, you're transcending your design, because you're not designed to do that. You're designed to look for the next problem. Like we're not even done with this problem and I'm looking for the next problem. So finding that out brings me some peace, and it helps me encourage others. I'm like, well, Laura, could you spread some praise through the wellness enterprise? Or, like, now when I praise Jen, the last time I praised her, I was like, Jen, I hope that you can let this next thing I'm about to say count 100 more times than the other things that I don't say and that I miss. Like, here comes acknowledgement from Patrick. Be sure you catch it, because it's only going to be a thimbleful, and then I'm going to be running down the street looking for what's wrong. So it's a very peace supporting process to find out more of who I am. And I'm doing that in communion with these people who come into these calls and teach us. Like, that's a big part of what the conversation's about. And for me, it's ongoing. I'm constantly looking to understand myself more. So is it okay to transcend my human design? It's like one of my favorite things, Susie, is Laura will say something like, she's like, you're not wired for this. And then I'll do a little bit of it. And it's one of the most satisfying things, because I don't feel locked or limited by the life that I was born to live. I feel like I can be here and be at free will about being greater than that. Right.
Well, I asked that because the way that you said it made it sound like a bad thing to transcend your human design. And I think of transcending as something like that I aspire to. I want to transcend everything, so I was just curious.
Yeah, no, it's kind of a humorous thing. Like, I love the little nuggets that that transcend. And Shira says that Laura and Jen more than make up for it, Patrick. Their support is off the chart. So, you know, we do sign every email at the Wellness Enterprise with love. And for a long time, it was with love and infinite support. And so, you know, we definitely have it in our DNA, but it takes a village. Let's just say it that way. It takes all of us. Sherry, anything else before we'll move on to Laura, unless you jump back in with anything else.
Oh, I'm good, thanks.
All right, thanks for participating. It's great to hear your voice. Laura.
Hi, everyone. So nice to see you. So I had something to say to Sherry real quickly, since she spoke most recently. First, I wonder why we ever question whether where we are is where we belong. Because you're here, this is a very transcending conversation. So you've obviously found a path to your higher purpose and your higher self. And in my opinion, where you are is exactly where you belong. So I think that we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be something that we're not, and to travel our journey in a way that maybe mimics someone else's travels, or has some unreasonable expectation. And I encourage you to celebrate the distance that you've already traveled and be okay with where you are right now. And the other thing is that in human design, we learned that it's not so much the mind, but it's really the body that we need to be honoring on our journey. And so we in our culture are taught always to be thinking about what's next and planning and really using our minds to make all of our decisions. But it's truly our body and the way that our body feels. So if something is correct for us, maybe we will feel an expansion happening in our solar plexus, for example. And if something is incorrect for us, we might feel a contraction happening. And if you think back to decisions that you've made where maybe, you know, it didn't feel right, but you did it anyway because you convinced yourself that it was okay. Like that was an example of our mind overstepping our body's wisdom. And so it's really important for all of us to learn to really lean into our bodily sensations, because our body is the antenna that's receiving the downloads, and it's here to tell us and share with us what's correct for us and what is not. Go ahead.
Beautiful.
I just unmuted myself. If I could just respond. I know my body gets the signals because I'm constantly asking it, but I'm asking it with my mind. And then I'm doing the sway technique to get the yes or no. I would like to feel and know without having to engage my mind to which way am I going? What's the right answer?
I'm not sure we're all designed that way. I think some of us need to use tools like you're describing. Like I don't have any water elements in my chart at all. There's no water signs. And so I don't have really clear access to my emotions, but I can feel my body. And so I do have the same thing you do. Like I listen in my body, like, do I feel a contraction? Do I feel an expansion? And I talked to Patrick about this. I'm like, yeah, I'm expanding into that idea. I got it. Or no, I'm contracting away from that idea. And so now I, being this body, this vessel that my soul is using to travel through time and accumulate experiences, I really need to honor its wisdom. And so perhaps you don't have a lot of water in your chart either. And so water would give us access to emotions that maybe neither of us have.
Well, there's also another possibility. So Sherry, it was just like a dozen years ago that I was doing a lot of transformational seminars, and I met somebody at the seminar who I hired, and her brand promise was, I'll teach you how to feel your soul guidance. And I hired her because I was like an absolute nothing on that front. I'm like, I wasn't aware that I had just been channeling the stock market for 15 years. Like I didn't know that's what I was doing, but that's what I was doing. So I just didn't know that the gifts had always been there. I didn't know how to see them. And so I've been on a really intense journey for a dozen years or so to bring that forth. And, you know, the opening of my third eye and all the connectivity to all that is that I've experienced has been amazing, but I'm still incomplete in walking that journey. And so, as recently as the last week, I've had intellectual identifications with things that I didn't have the feelings to back up what the intellect would say. In other words, if I was feeling this experience in my body, my intellect says that I would feeling a lot of heart and love energy, but I'm not. I'm feeling like neutral and flat, like pinch me and I don't feel it. I'm like, what is going on that I don't feel it? And I have that a lot. I used to be really, really mercurial in my emotional expressions. And now I can be neutral about a whole lot of things. So an example would be like Laura's pretty great with body work, and I've had an aching hip for 10 years. So, she gets her thumbs in there pretty deep, pretty often. And she's like, does that hurt? And I'm like, no, I barely feel it. She's like, really? Like, you sure you're okay? I'm like, she's like, anybody else would be like at the nth degree of their feeling. And I'm like, no, you can like, go ahead and work in there. Like, I'm fine. Like, I'm really not feeling it. So as one who's like really been on that journey, I hear in what you're saying a vocabulary that you're on the same journey that I'm on, or like your version of the same kind of stuff. Right. And that it just takes a lot. Like, do you know how many dowsing sessions I had with Hope Fitzgerald in 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14 to like begin to feel this stuff? And so then my third eye started to go. Then I started to ask myself more. Then I started experimenting with sound and doing long toning. Then I started meeting friends like Susie. And, now I get to spend my life in daily communion with somebody like Laura. So there's like all this heightening of the journey that just comes. And what I would say is just trust where you are as being perfect and keep investing in yourself. Choose to schedule time off, like Susie's going to the creek tomorrow because she put it in her schedule, and that's where she's going to commune in nature. Schedule your creek time, whatever that is for you, or schedule time with these practitioners. Or one of the things I'm going to do now, guys, I'm hitting enter again on the link to Susie's symposium. This is like the biggest no-brainer ever. Susie's got free symposium starting on June 21st, giving away 11 soulful conversations to us. And all you have to do is click that link and go and register, and you get all that information. So please, everybody on this call and everybody who hears the recording, avail yourself of this opportunity to receive more soulful information for free. Like, this is Susie's work to give that. And for Susie's work to go to, anything less than 1 million people is like an insult to integrity in the world. It means our marketing and distribution systems have been co-opted by corrupt corporations, right? Yeah, I like that, Susie. Yes. So, not only like go get it for yourself and then pull it, like look forward to it until June 21st. And then, this is perfect for you, Sherry. From June 21st until it ends, which is July something, just go every day and put that on your schedule now.
Yeah, I really want to reiterate what you just said, Patrick. Is it okay if I jump in now, or should I wait?
Yeah, the only last thing I want to say in there is not only sign up for yourself, but send it to a friend or send it to 3 friends so that you actually have somebody in this dialogue with you to support you that isn't us. So you can build your nucleus. So the sharing is self-motivated, and it's just an obvious thing for spreading these businesses in the world. So do it for both reasons. Okay, Susie.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick. I just want to highlight that not only are there 11 conversations that include processes, meditations, healings with the practitioners and the speakers that were part of this symposium, but I also, as I mentioned before, so I just want to lay it out. The first day, June 21st, it's solstice. Energy is high, energy is potent, energy is rich on this day. That is when the Prime Creator channeling transmission will be available. And each piece of content every day will be available for free for 24 hours. So like, be ready on the 21st. Make sure you go in and receive the transmission from Prime Creator, because that sets the foundation for the Soul Power Symposium. You want that information going into all the other presentations. So make sure that you put time in your calendar, set for 75 minutes. It's a long one, but it's rich, and you might feel something. Put that in your calendar to listen to Prime Creator and what that energy has to say about soul. And then for the next 11 days, you will have access to one presenter each day. So every presenter is giving an activation or a healing or a process or a tool for you to use for your spiritual path, for your development, for your journey. And then on the last day, I'm giving you a video about how to boost your soul power. And then after the symposium, stay tuned, because then I'm going to be offering a free class and then an online retreat for a weekend, and then an opportunity for a one-on-one mentorship with me. So the symposium, like, that's just the beginning of you being able to receive and experience the soul power work. Also during the symposium, I have a video that will be available for the entire 13 days on activating your soul essence. And this is a tool that I use all the time. I've been using it for years. A practitioner gave it to me. It's something that's been so powerful for me as an empath, as a sensitive being. This is a tool that you can use anywhere, anytime for free. And I'm making it available for the entire 13 days because I really want you to work with it. It's that important. As I said, right now, what's happening on the planet, all the transitions, all the, the ascension, the emerging of the new earth, whatever words you want to put to it, it's more important now than ever that we are with our energy and not with the energy of the chaos or the seeming chaos of what's going on in the world. So if you have suicidal thoughts, are they yours? If you learn how to be with your energy, maybe those disappear. I don't know. It's possible. So it's something to explore and play with and cultivate within yourself, being with your own soul essence and energy. That's so, so important. And the only reason I'm able to create something like this is because I'm cultivating my soul essence all the time. It's a process, it's a journey. Thank you, Shira.
And you guys, Susie undoubtedly asked a lot of people some pretty great questions. I want you to know what she did to me.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. Let's tell them.
So, she, I don't know, she interviewed me for like a half an hour, like did the normal questions, and we're all good. And then she says, I've got a really big ask for you now, Patrick. And you guys know me, I'm pretty optimistic. I'm not one to just drop an uh-oh right out of my mouth. And she said that and I go, uh-oh. I just knew something was coming. I mean, this is live interview, right? Or recorded interview anyway. So I was like, all right, what's up? And Susie said, Susie,
I would like you to channel the soul of water for us.
So I've channeled a few times and it's a delightful experience, but never on request. And so I was stunned at this request landing in my lap, and I was like, and I think you encouraged me by saying something like, I believe you can do it. I don't know if you said that out loud or I just heard it in my own head, but I was clear that if this was being asked of me, that I was capable of it. So I started rolling my head around like this, as I do when I'm loosening up to try and let source come through. And then I just stopped resisting and started talking. So that is part of the interview. And if she did that with me, imagine what she did with everybody else. So that was a doozy. I will always remember that my whole interviewing life. That was a really good one, Susie. So thank you for bringing a question that just like shocked me out of my orbit and moved me to a place that I really wanted to go. It was a really delightful gift. So you guys, as you receive all that from Susie, like Susie's not wired to have a business model and to make money and to go sell. That's not what she does. That's what I do. I'm a sales and marketing person. And so if any of you are inclined to purchase her symposium when it's offered for sale, or to book sessions with her, or to support her in commerce, or to introduce her to other people who can interview her, or somehow just spread what she's doing so that the energy exchange of everything she gives to us gets met by people, then I just wholeheartedly encourage you to do that. She's one of the light ones we want to be listening to and talking with. So
thank you, Patrick.
Support her if you feel called to do that.
And like Patrick was saying, he didn't say this, but if you you know, if you want to buy the package but you can't afford it, then just join for free and share it with your friends. This is the part Patrick said. Share it with people who you want on that soul journey with you.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
that's a form of support for the soul work.
We all have roles to play in this, and we've already got the Patrick and Susie roles filled. We have our mouthpieces hooked up, and we're connected at the level we're connected, and we're speaking and we're doing what we're doing, and everybody has a different piece. It's not the same. So it can be as simple as a Facebook post that shares that you'll bring one more person into our soul family with greater awareness. It can be just actually doing the listening and doing the practices. Like Sherry, you could like book every day of that symposium to do that work, and you could come out, in the second week of July, a different person and radiate completely differently in the world. Who knows what might happen from there? So yeah, whatever our piece is, it's perfect.
I'm fully convinced that the energies have accelerated to the point where if you want it, it won't take me 12 years. Like you started way before me, but I feel like anyone starting now can really, really accelerate this.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and that goes back to our original conversation about soul. Why is that? Why is that possible now? Not just because of all the light coming to the planet that I described earlier, but because of all the templates that have been set by all the other souls, all the other beings doing their inner work. We've created such a template-rich field now that anyone who wants to wake up, anyone who wants to ascend, anyone who wants to heal, anyone who wants to evolve, it's right there. It can happen quickly. And you don't have to go through all of the stuff that the pioneers went through. And that to me is just amazing. It's like, that's why I've been doing my work for 17 plus years. That's why, so that someone else has an easier path to travel than I did. That's fulfilling to me.
It's beautiful. I remember it was December 21st, 2012 was the end of the Mayan calendar date, right? And I remember how the stuff that I was participating in that month blossomed. It ballooned up, like people participated at a level of participation that hadn't been seen before. And that level of participation is now exceeded on a weekly basis and a regular basis in things, because so many more people are just naturally participating. So the bulge of 10 years ago, that's like a low to common day now. We're at whole new levels. It's really beautiful.
Well, you were prepared for that. You mentioned your journey from being a star athlete against all odds to now being able to introduce whole new concepts for people to evolve on their soul journey. And I believe that we're given these challenges to overcome, and they're given exactly the right challenge at exactly the right moment. So when you were in your teens and 20s, Patrick, you were challenged with maybe a smaller stature than some of the other athletes, but the will and the ability and the drive to overcome that smaller stature in order to achieve greatness. And your stature is bigger than life now. And so from a soul perspective, like you're not only enhancing your own soul journey, but the soul journeys of everyone who comes in contact with you. And your younger experience prepared you for this experience.
Yeah, there was like a fierceness to it, right? There was like a, I will succeedness to it, but it was all in the physical domain, or it was concentrated through the physical domain experience. And now it's like, I have the power of being a somewhat integrated being. Like, I don't know how integrated, but I know a lot more than I used to be. And I know that there's still a lot more to go. But this new integrated self has a different, I like to think of it as like radiance. Like there's a radiance of life. There's a flowingness of life that comes from having the spiritual and the physical together, being more of a whole being. So thank you for that, Laura. Brandon asks, in an individual session with Susie, would that help understand how to embrace and move in the gift of empath and other gifts that the human design reading exposed? So you guys, cultivating, like the last couple of weeks, my focus has shifted from the wellness enterprise and structured water to Lavanya and building this community. And that's what my energy's on every day. And the way like Laura showed up as a human design reader and the impact it had on me, and then the impact it had on the farm where I was staying, where she did readings for Nico and Tara and Gerald. And then that turned into actually offering it in the public. And then what you all said, like, it was a, you know, a small bucket of water to the face. It's like, look over here, like, this is really important. That's a bridge to one way to people getting who they really are. And now what's happening as that happens is I'm thinking about who else can help people get who they really are. Susie can help people get who they really are. And who else can take somebody who's gotten a different depth of who they are and help them get to the place where they feel like they're understanding their feelings, their body guidance, their mission, you know, all this kind of stuff. So we're just going to keep layering the understanding together. And so, you know, Susie and Laura are both going to be, you know, teachers in that, but there's going to be more. We're going to bring in more and fill around the picture, and we're going to figure out how do we as a collective learn who we are, actualize individually, but then actualize individually vulnerably in front of one another and connected to one another. So we figure out how to actualize collectively. That's the big picture of what I'm working on, right? Because the more we unify and bring all those individuals marching by themselves connected, that becomes an unstoppable force of love in the universe, because each person is manifesting who they're here to be, but they're doing it in a way that where they're reaffirmed by their community. It's a really beautiful process. I'm so thankful to be a part of it. So Brandon, you know, you've been through the last couple of years with me. Like Brandon was in a test coaching group that I did. I wanted to find out whether I could coach people. So I just offered 6 people coaching and I coached them. And Brandon still being here is a testament that yes, I can coach people, and me not offering a coaching product is evidence that's not what I want to be doing with my life. But Brandon has then stayed with each step that I've gone to next. And yeah, buddy, like Susie's here for you. That's why we found her. That's why Susie and I met 6 or 7 years ago, is so that she could be here for you when you were ready. And yes, let her help you too. And we'll see who else. It takes a lot of us. It takes us all together.
Yeah, I have a mentor, you know, after 17 years, so still I have a mentor that I go to. I just wanted to highlight also, if you are feeling called to do some one-on-one work with me and you want a session, if you go book through Patrick's link that we provided in the chat today, and you get the session, you'll not only get that one-on-one session with me, you'll get the replay of all the presenters, you'll get that replay bundle. And then you will also, because you're in this community, what I'd like to do is I have a site called the Creation Temple that you might know about, creationtemple.com. If anyone books that one-on-one session with Patrick's link, I would like to give you a free month in the Creation Temple as a royal creator, which means you get access to my courses. So Brandon, you mentioned, you know, being an empath. I have a course called Empath to Integration on that site. And so you'll get access to that course for a full month. So that's just something little extra I'd like to do, you know, just as a thank you to Patrick and you guys here, because you've had me on several times. And so we're getting to know each other, and I just want you to access as much of my work as possible. So you'll get access to that right away if you know, whenever you sign up, and you'll just need to create a free membership in the Creation Temple. Let me know you've created it. I'll go do my magic on the back end. You'll get access to the courses and all the content. And then I think maybe some of that, the gratuity that you get, Patrick, might go back into Lavanya. I don't know. We haven't talked about that, but
yeah, it's all good. Thank you for bringing your best to our community. And yeah, you know, right now the Wellness Enterprise is just funding Lavanya and causing it into existence, and we'll get more and more formal about that as we go. But Lavanya finally exists as its own separate financial entity, and you know, that's a that's a start to it becoming self-sufficient, which is a goal. So
Awesome.
yeah, we'll get it there. So
Awesome. I love it.
how else can we serve you guys? Is there anything else anybody wants to ask about or comment on?
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yes. We have a question from iPad, and I'm sorry I don't recognize you by face, but
That's okay. It's Peg. I was going to meet you in North
Peg.
Carolina. Yeah,
oh, that's you.
that's
Hello.
me. I'm normally on the road. I can never have my camera on.
Gotcha. Well, look how easy it is to rename yourself. I just renamed you. So, good to see
Yeah,
you, Peg.
thank you. I'm sorry I missed you. I hope I get to connect with you next time I'm down there. And thank you,
Yes.
Susie. I'm looking forward to connecting with you as well. And Laura was wonderful. So anyway, I just was thinking how much I enjoy this community and how I ended up here. Like, what's the odds I just be in this group? And yesterday I was looking for something, and in the box I found this. I just thought you'd find this kind of funny. I found this. I went to this school back in the 90s called Crossroads, and it was to help you understand more about yourself, kind of like human design, only it was a whole bunch of different things. And I created this book called Changemaker. I didn't write the book. I didn't finish the book, but I started the book. And I just found it yesterday. And I thought, when I was listening to Patrick talk, before you turn the video on, about how we're change makers, or maybe you didn't say that, maybe I just thought that. But I just thought, well, how that's interesting. 30 years ago, I went on this journey, and here I am today. And it just feels full circle moment. I just wanted to say thank you.
That's beautiful. Well, I think we get that. I think we get versions that we can understand decades earlier, and then we can see the themes from decades later. And the more I've been really stung lately, my childhood memories have been knitting together. I actually feel like I much more fully understand my childhood than I ever did before. Which, when I was doing therapy in my 20s, I was like, I don't have any memories of my childhood. But now it's like I can see the snapshots and I can knit them together, and it informs who the other shadows were and people that were in the room and not in the room. So it's pretty interesting to see it fill in. So wonderful that you're with us and finding your relationship to change, and that feeling that you can express that as part of this community. We're thankful to have you, and look forward
Thank
to
you.
visiting with you in the Asheville area next time you're around.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else want to jump in with a question or comment?
I just wanted to talk to Susie real quick and tell her how much I really appreciated your empowerment around the shift of ages, because I think a lot of the media and the alt media too are selling this shift of ages as something to be fearful of, but you're representing it as like, we're here, we're supposed to be here, we came here like deliberately to shift the ages, and we have all the tools that we need at our disposal. And for the community, I was fortunate enough to be interviewed by Susie for her symposium. And I found that she drew out in me the best of me. So I'm really looking forward to her interviews and to finding how she really digs deep into what every speaker has to offer, because when you have someone who's a catalyst like that, they take something wonderful and they make it like even more wonderful than anyone could ever imagine. So I think that I haven't heard what Patrick did with the water, but I can't wait to hear it. And if you haven't joined the symposium, then it's a really great resource for us to take time for ourselves. So for all time and eternity, we've been told, be productive, make stuff, make money, own stuff. And I think we're moving past that as a collective. I think it's time to really focus on our own development and focus on ourselves as a priority. And in other cultures, this is something that they teach from a very young age. But in our culture, we're told, oh, you can do self-care later. Yeah, you just exercise on the weekends. But it's so not true. You know, we need and we deserve to have time to cultivate our own soul journey. And Susie's offering us that opportunity for free. So I'm really excited to be part of it and to participate in it.
Thanks for filling that in, Laura. That was beautiful. Really, really nice. Anybody else? Questions or comments? Okay, I think that's a wrap. Oh, Marcia, yes.
I just want to tell you, I'm just so grateful and so honored to be with this group.
You know what we can do, guys? I've practiced this with Jen over the years, and we've actually figured out that we can hug from a distance. It's really easy. So for everybody that wants to participate, just lean in, put your arms around each other, and just feel the energy of this group. It's vibrant. Man, I feel you. Marcia, thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for your openness and your appreciation. Thank you for coming here and being met and telling us that you're met. You guys are really special, and what we're doing is it's really amazing. Thank you for this hug. Thank you for the energy that's coursing through both of my arms and across my chest. It is beautiful to be connected with you. Does anybody else want to say anything?
This group is held by the Divine Mother, and there's just so much nourishment and an energy of nurturing available for each of us.
Right on. Okay, you guys, we'll take that feeling out into the world and hold it. And when you lose it, hug yourself and remember us. And we'll see you next week. And thank you all for being here. All right. Bye for now.